Hi, good morning.
So my speech is called Confession of a Former Smart Kid. I am that former smart kid. Now, if there's something I hate is talking about myself. But I really didn't have any other topic, and so here we are. Hi, my name is Kendall. Some of you would have known me as Namhua. I used to be a TV host. I used to work in media. Some of you would have known me from Vietnam Idol 2010, but I feel like a lot of you would have been too young to remember. So, what about me? By raise of hands, let me know if you recognize any of these names, okay? So, I am currently managing Kendall Nguyen. Okay, good. Naomi, I used to work with Naomi. ABG Tina, yeah. I also discovered and worked with Ren Evans for 2 years. And my biggest pride, our biggest hit was Thích Em Hơi Nhiều. I don't know if you guys know that song. Chỉ cần ngồi với em chút thôi được không? Được không? That is right. So yeah, it makes me really proud that we released that song. But before we begin, I would like to make a confession. I am actually very shy. I think you guys can tell. I am terrified of speaking in public. It's not just because of the 1,000 eyes and then the cameras and the light, but also it's the feeling of people sort of judging you, in front of your face. And don't you dare tell me I'm the only one who feels this way. I know a lot of you have public speaking fear as well. And I get a little anxious, it's because it's TEDx. It's so many great people have stood here and share their stories and achievement and accolades and lessons that's quotable for years to come. But I thought, okay, I'm not here to share any of that. And I feel quite vulnerable. I remember the last time I stood on stage performing on live television, singing Dòng Thời Gian, but it's 13 years ago. It's 13. A lot of you were kids back then. You probably don't remember. So it's just first impression from here on out. So that is the first confession, and I'm just going to be here sharing what I've learned after being, living and breathing after 34 years on Earth. And I don't think it's going to be bad. So I don't know why I set myself up for such anxiety, So let me just admit that I'm very shy. I'm quite an introvert. And a lot of people don't believe that I am because of the work that I do. I'm at a lot of events, meeting a lot of people, dancing, having a good time and everything. And they're like, I don't believe you. You work in media, you work with influencers. I'm like, I just learned how to be around a lot of people. Also, it doesn't mean that I don't like to have fun, It's very different. And I also don't like the fact that people talk about being shy like it's a weakness. I used to believe that, but now I don't. I think it's just a trait. And I ask myself, why is it so hard for me to just face my weakness and accept it? So I trace it back, and I think it comes way before I was even, thinking about all this. I think it came all the way back to my childhood, to my mom. So my mom is a very strong person, and she has a lot of expectations, and I think I used to be subjected to that expectation from an early age, being, cháu đích tôn, the oldest son of the oldest son. Is there any cháu đích tôn in the room? Yeah? Okay. 2 people. But this is why I hate going first, save the best for first. But, so, my mom named me Namhua, and it means smart and successful. And it's just expectation way before I even know who I can be. But when I was young, I proved that I have the potential to be very academically inclined. I have really good memory, like almost photographic memory, you know. I could read comic books before I know the alphabet. Like, someone would just like read me the pages and I just remember, and I can just like repeat it perfectly. And then by age 5, I could read like, you know, Zeman Filuki. It's like a novel for young kids. I don't know if you guys still read that nowadays. Yes? Okay, you sound like you were born in the 90s. And then, you know, by age 6, I was trilingual. I could speak English, French, Vietnamese, northern and southern accent. And at this point, you know, I think my parents started to buy into the idea that, ooh, maybe he's really smart. I remember the first time I took the entrance test to first grade, I came first, and my parents were so happy. You know, I remember my dad picking me up, my mom was so happy and proud, and that became my core memory, and that feeling stuck with me for years, because it doesn't come too often in my family, and I feel like for a lot of Asian families, for parents to hug their kids and say that they're proud, you know? But that was what I remember. And because of these early successes, my mom started to really buy into this idea, and she wanted it to be a reality. She needed me to be great, to be the first, to be the best, and I spent all my time studying and trying to prove to her that I can do that. And I don't remember having time to be a kid, to play sports, to be out with friends. I did none of that. And because I set that expectation up so high, I couldn't meet it. I remember the first time I got a 9 out of 10. It was in math. And my mom was so disappointed. I told her after I came out from, you know, taking the test, and she just said she was disappointed. She was very angry, and she left me on the street and drove home. Now, mind you, I was 6. When you're 6 and your mom just leaves you on the street and, you know, you think it's for real, I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna be homeless just because of this 9 out of 10. And it's not that I didn't try. I didn't really try, and I didn't understand why I had to be perfect all the time. And I don't know why, you know, even if I tried, it still leads to like disappointment and pain. So after that day, I tried my best to have like 10 out of 10 all the time, but there are other problems, you know. I start to lose my sight. Everything starts to get blurry. I had to go to the doctor, to the eye doctor, the optometrist, to get glasses. Turns out I was just nearsighted, you know. I see a lot of glasses in this room, so we know it's a common thing, but when my mom found out I was nearsighted, you know what she did? She fainted. Like, it was like the most disappointing thing I could do, just to be nearsighted, you know? It's like her perfect son is no longer having perfect vision. And it's like funny when I talk about it now, you know, trying to move past the trauma, but back then it was just, I don't understand, you know? I didn't do this. And it took me years to understand that it's not me. It's about my mom and her expectation of me. So at least with the glasses, I looked the part, you know. I scored like perfectly 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10 for the next 3 years in my life. But after that, there comes other problems. Like, it's like first, like, the grades have to be perfect, and then like my vision is not perfect, and then like my social skill is bad, which is understandable because when did I have time to make friends, you know? And because I could speak like a lot of languages, my mom wanted me to speak to like strangers and foreigners, and I couldn't do that, so it leads to more disappointment. And I feel like whatever I do, it just makes my parents disappointed. And so I feel like I didn't want to try it anymore because they're just going to be disappointed anyways. So I felt sad, but I didn't want to cry. Like, I didn't want to feel weak, you know? Because in my family, crying means weakness, and weakness means being punished. So I just kind of bury it all down and, you know, just become a very dry person and just a shadow of myself. Someone under a mask. And I grew up to be a teenager. I was full of just low self-esteem, anger, resentment. And I was like, who am I resenting? Is it me? Like, not really. I know deep down, I'm not actively causing all this, like, disappointment. Is it my mom? Like, not really. You know I love her. Like, it's not a perfect relationship, but I realized I think I was more resenting the guy, Hua, like that version of myself that's supposed to be smartest, like the perfect kid, because I knew I'm gonna be so exhausted trying to live up to that image, to that expectation, so I did not like him. The next few academic years, you know, from secondary school to like high school, like there's a decline in performance, and it's like when you're in secondary school, learning is not about just remembering things, you know. You gotta really understand things, and I didn't understand anything. I also was like very messy, like I wasn't disciplined, you know. I started to lose grip, like on academia in general. So I realized that I needed a way out. I needed like a fresh environment to find out who I was and what I'm gonna be. So I decided to study abroad. I really fought for it, you know, because I knew something wasn't right here. And I was lucky enough, well, I don't know if it's luck, but I got dropped in the Midwest, Ohio. So if you don't know about the demographics, I was the only Asian kid in a school of 300 people. So I didn't recognize anyone, but everyone recognized me. And even though I was noticeable, I was still invisible, you know? It's because I was still in my shell. Like, I didn't have any personality. Like, I didn't want to show my true self because I was so afraid. But luckily, you know, having taken math and science here, school really flew by, and I started to be more confident. And having that confidence, I feel like something changed. So I decided to go one step further. I came out. I wouldn't have the courage to come out here to my mom, but I came out there. And luckily, my host mom really encouraged me to come out to everyone. So, you know, it was great. She accepted it, and then my close friends accepted it, then their friends, then their parents. And I had something that I never had before. It's an emotional support system. And I feel like they were the April shower, and I was the Mayflower. I just started blossoming. I walked a little different, I talked a little different, and I did things that I never did before, you know. I joined a graphic design contest, the Cleveland Youth Orchestra Choir. I was in musicals, and people even said I was humorous and charismatic. Like, what? Me? Someone like this shy? And school was a breeze, and life was good. And I was asking myself where I got this courage, you know? If I knew how cathartic it would be to just be myself, I would do it sooner. Because I feel like I could love myself, and I really like him. And when I love myself, I do believe that I could be loved. I like this quote that I saw on Threads. Are you guys on Threads? You know, the gym. Yay, one person. Two. So it's a quote from Alexander Leon. He's an LGBTQ activist, and he said, "Queer people don't grow up as themselves. We grow up as we played a version, you know, of ourselves to avoid being humiliated. So there's a lot of parts from society that we just sort of just assimilate to cover up. And our job as we grow older is to pick apart what's not us, and we keep what's us to keep authenticity, right? So I learned that, and you know what else I learned about myself? In college, I also learned I had ADHD. Now, I'm so glad that we live in the day and age where mental health is taken seriously. Because back in my day, nobody knew in Vietnam, nobody knew what ADHD was, and health issues was like a taboo, right? But in college, I knew I had ADHD. It explains a lot. It explains why I didn't have like attention. I could control my emotions. I have like really odd social skills, and I didn't have like organizational skills, time management. It explains that. But it also explains how I have the hyper-focus, the creativity, and you know, the dry humor and the spontaneity, basically what makes me, me. So I traced back to my life and all the way to my childhood, just like I did today with you guys. You know, I asked the question, why is it so hard for me to accept myself and my weakness? And I realized that when you set up an expectation so high, just out of like normity, you know, it creates like a deficit and it leads to disappointment. I don't like to be someone who lives in the future. I want to be present, and I don't want to fly by just being disappointed all the time. I don't want to be disappointed in myself, you know? And when I realized that ADHD was part of me, I learned how to deal with that. I learned how to cope with that. And I graduated the last semester with a 4.0. And then I realized something. All this improvement and achievement wasn't because I was smart. It wasn't because somebody told me that I was smart. It was hard work. In the Neuroscience Cognitive Developmental Journal, there was a study that says, you should not tell your kid that they're smart. In turn, you should actually encourage the efforts that they put in. Because when you keep saying someone is smart, they sort of like take it for granted, you know? Everything that happens to them is natural. It creates like a closed mindset, a fixed mindset, that intelligence cannot be changed. So what's the point of trying, you know? And if one day you don't succeed, you're gonna think, well, I'm dumb. What's the point of trying? What I like is the growth mindset. Is that everybody can grow. Like, you can be a 1 today, a 2 tomorrow, and a 10 in the end, and it's fine. As long as there's progress. And it took me like 25 years to realize that. Maybe that's slow, but for me, like, it's better late than never. That's why I keep doing like all these like new things. I have new experience, you know, become a talent manager at 28. Like, I don't know, I never thought I could do it, but I did it, and I'm glad I did, because of the growth mindset. So what I want to leave with you guys today, honestly, is that, you know, love yourself and have that growth mindset. You're not going to be stagnant, you're not going to stay in one place. your mind will expand and you're going to learn for the rest of your life. And that's why I became a momager. It's endearing, mom, someone I really look up to. And I want to manage people is because it's something I needed when I was young. I became the person I wish that I had. To help these talents, to help these people achieve the optimal level of success. And also, I have learned to internalize these people's success as my own. And I know a lot of times managers feel discredited, but a lot of moms feel discredited as well. So thank you for coming to my TEDx talk.